Welcome. Welcome to Financial Independence, Retire Early in South Africa. My name is Bird, and this is now the 14th episode of Financial Independence, Retire Early. Thank you for watching. I really, really do appreciate it, right? Please hit the like and subscribe button. It really, really do go a long way in just helping me keep motivated. Just the numbers really, really don't lie. They just help me keep me motivated, but also just so that YouTube can help other people who are looking for this kind of information get it, right? So yeah, just to help the search algorithms, locate the right people with the right kind of information. Today on this 14th episode, I will be talking about DogeCoin, Dogecoin to the moon. I love DogeCoin, or I'm a fan of DogeCoin. This is my first introduction to cryptocurrencies, so my understanding is relatively basic. And I also just need to say, look, I'm not a financial advisor. I think I say that it's like the first line in every description, right? Of every video. I'm not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice. This channel is strictly so that I can learn and share what I know and understand, right? As I learn and I try to, improve my financial literacy on my journey to financial independence. So over time, my understanding may change, right? Dependent on the quality of information that I receive also. So what I'm going to share today, or what I share every other day, is my understanding at that moment. All right. So over time, if I receive better information, obviously my understanding will change, and therefore even my opinion or my position on something will change. Right. So yeah, I think that I just need to say. So don't like hold me accountable for a decision that you're gonna make if you're not gonna like take it upon yourself to also kind of improve your own understanding, right? So again, like I said, I share my understanding just so I can share what I know, and also so I can receive from you guys what you also know and understand. So after this video, if somebody posts something in the comment section that completely goes against everything I've said, I might just change my opinion, and that is like just one of the qualities also of like an intelligent person, right? So Dogecoin, I'm going to give like a brief description of cryptocurrencies again, depending on my understanding. I know, yeah, blockchain and the technologies around cryptocurrencies as it relates to making Dogecoin even possible. So I think cryptocurrencies have probably existed since 2009, 2010. I don't know exactly when, but Dogecoin specifically started around 2012, 2013. What a cryptocurrency is a digital currency, right? So we have rands, dollars, and all of that exist in real life that we can touch and feel, or that we can even transact on the internet. But all that is obviously based off of the economy in the paper money sense. What digital currencies are based 100% off of their digital capabilities or their digital availability. So cryptocurrencies are digital currencies, and the word crypto or crypt in the name comes from encryption. So if you have WhatsApp, you've seen these messages are encrypted. I think what that means is that it takes like a high computational power. It takes strong technical specialist knowledge to be able to crack the code in order to kind of hack the app or hack the messaging and access the messages on WhatsApp. So I think that's the same with cryptocurrencies. You need like really, really specialist capacities. You need really, really high computational powers, strong, big, large supercomputers in order to be able to kind of hack the encryptions that happens in the cryptocurrency in order to kind of commit fraud. It's a lot easier to hack government agencies and banks and kind of change a few zeros in your bank account. But the cryptocurrency, you can't do that. Like, it's very, very difficult for you to hack the cryptocurrency ledger and kind of add a few zeros. And to my understanding, again, the reason that's so difficult is because of a technology that's called blockchain. Now, blockchain, chain of blocks, you know what I'm saying? So this chain of blocks are, they exist again because of the strong computational power that happens with the miners and the programmers and the software developers and so forth. So as we're creating a cryptocurrency on the blockchain, we have 40 blocks on this blockchain. And now we're kind of mining for more crypto, and we're creating the 41st block. So the reason it's so difficult for you to commit fraud is because if your transaction happened with the 38th block, or that's when your transaction was recorded in the ledger, and now you're trying to commit fraud, you must now change the ledger on your block, the 38th, the 39th, the 40th, and even on the 41st block. Now, even on the 41st block now, that has to occur before that block is set in stone, or before that block is completed, So that means that if you're like your fraud case or whatever, the kind of zeros that you changed in 38th block, all of that is not necessarily changed in all of the blocks, then the the ledger, the network, the blockchain of computers and and servers will then realize that there's a kind of irregularity with the transactions, and then it'll reject the transaction. Therefore, that fraud will be kicked out. So he has like a higher safety rate than a lot of other things that exist, like banks, meaning it's very, very difficult to then commit fraud in the encryptions that exist on the blockchain. So that's, yeah, the basic understanding of that. Now we have a cryptocurrency called Dogecoin. Now, again, like a currency, everything, like Dogecoin, like Bitcoin, all of that is dependent on the value that you and I give it, right? So that's the other strength of cryptocurrencies, what they call decentralization. So what you have with regular currencies, dollars, rands, is that the government agencies or the governments, the big banks, and the richest people in the world will kind of decide, as relates to the IMF and so forth. They will decide what's the value of the dollar to the rand. They kind of make that decision. You and I can trade. We can trade currencies all we want, but we really, really, with all our price action movement, we don't necessarily control the price of the dollar, right? Or necessarily the price of the dollar to the rand. But what we do control, at least, is the value of the rand to our demand and supply of what we apply to the value of things that we're trying to buy. So if a loaf of bread is $1 or 15 rands, and I refuse to buy that loaf of bread, or at least everybody in the country refuses to buy that loaf of bread for 15 rands, then obviously that price has to go down, right? That's demand and supply, and then that kind of strengthens our rand, but also, yes, it decreases the value of the bread. But in a currency level, then the strength of our rand is that much stronger because it can buy a loaf of bread where it couldn't. So that, again, that's the same thing that happens with cryptocurrencies. You and I have to decide that Bitcoin is worth $100,000. The fact that you and I are willing to buy it for $100,000, that's what gives it its value. Just like with the rand or the dollar, the fact that we're willing to use it and then to pay for certain things that cost so much, that's what gives it the value, the general consensus that exists. So there is a consensus with cryptocurrencies. Everybody has, most people have jumped. There are about 100 million cryptocurrency users in the world, and those 100 million people, plus with the institutions and the banks and the governments now, they are the people, we are the people that give the value to the cryptocurrencies. The fact that we're willing to pay so much, or the fact that we're not willing to pay so much for certain cryptocurrencies, is what gives them their value. So Dogecoin was started as a joke, as a meme. This guy in 2012, he used to work for Adobe. I think his name is Jackson Palmer. So I think Bitcoin, which might be the first cryptocurrency, started around 2009, 2010. And then by 2012, there were about thousands of cryptocurrencies that exist in the ecosystem. And this guy just was like, yep, well, I can create my own, and it can also become the next big thing. And like, he just tweeted about it, didn't even exist, and people started retweeting it, and it kind of gained traction, and then it got the attention of some other guy called, let me just get his name real quick, Bill Marcus, right? I think Bill Marcus used to work for IBM. And then they, one night they just like picked the dog, the Shiba Inu dog. I don't have that one down. The Shiba Inu dog, and they put it on the coin, and they call it the Dogecoin. And then they just wrote the lines of code, and that, the meme currency started existing just like that, and a lot of people started liking it as a joke or as a meme. Meme culture is very, very perversive in the world, so the memes kind of gained traction. People started liking the joke, or I'll say, for lack of a better word, not feeling threatened because it's a joke. Like, even for me, Bitcoin, it's $100,000, 1 million rands. Like, yo, what the hell? Dogecoin is like 4 rands. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's a joke. It's not so intimidating. So I think that's why a lot of people just because meme culture is so perversive, they just moved towards Dogecoin, and then it became, a currency in that sense. But also the biggest thing that made it also so easy to use is very, very early in its development, because Reddit has strong meme culture. If you know anything about the GameStop Reddit craze, then you understand that meme culture is really, really strong for Reddit culture, right? So the people on Reddit started using it as a way to pay each other, right, as a currency for them on the site. And also a few gaming companies and a few games also started using Dogecoin as kind of a currency for them to use within their games for people to buy and sell on app purchases or in-game purchases, right? So that kind of allowed cryptocurrencies at least to be able to be the early adaptation, right? That made the early adaptation of Dogecoin relatively easy, and then it kind of set its first feet into the general consensus and the general kind of consciousness of the people. And then again, by 2014, right, as it relates to volume, it was already the highest volume cryptocurrency, even more volume than this is the number of cryptos that are moving, that are changing hands per day. That's the volume, right? So it already had more volume than a lot of the other cryptos, even Bitcoin by 2014, right? It already had, so this is a long time coming. A lot of us are hearing about it now in 2021, but this is like, it's about 8-9 years old, so it's a long time coming. And even though like the technology has not necessarily been keeping up to date, because again, it's a joke and people weren't taking it too seriously, and only now people are beginning to improve the technology. It's been a long time coming, and people have been adopting it and using it, at least in their own little niche early adopter spaces. So and then in 2018, Robinhood, which is a big trading app that exists in America, started allowing people to buy and sell it on their platform, right? So if you're in South Africa, one of our most popular platforms is Easy Equity. So for example, if Easy Equity is made it possible for us to buy and sell DogeCoin on the app, obviously it would make adaptation even that much more easier, and yeah, like for Dogecoin to be able to filter into the community and into society, right? Yeah, that's 2018 Robinhood. But also clearly we've seen people like Elon Musk, people like the Maverick guy, Mark Cuban. They've also like kind of hyped up Dogecoin, and that's how it kind of really, really started to get into the masses, like the general knowledge and the general consensus of the masses. And the fact that everybody uses it, or everybody's beginning to use it, and it's like, again, it's not so intimidating, it's cheap, that kind of gives it a sense of validation. But I need to say, unlike Ethereum, right? Bitcoin does not, Bitcoin also does not have necessarily any utility value. Bitcoin is a store of value, just like gold. Ethereum has like an app platform or technology platform which can be used for a lot of other things. Like you can use Ethereum technology to create another cryptocurrency, while Ethereum also exists as a cryptocurrency, right? Dogecoin has none of that. Dogecoin has no real utility value except now as a currency. But I also believe that Dogecoin is also the best equipped to become a currency, because that's another thing, a difference between Dogecoin and other currencies. Litecoin has a similar characteristic. But Bitcoin will, at its height, have only 21 million coins in circulation. 21 million. Dogecoin produces 5 billion coins a year, right? So that sense of scarcity with Bitcoin makes it almost impossible for Bitcoin to be used as a currency. It can be used as a store of value, but it's very difficult to use it as a store of currency because it has such a high scarcity, characteristic to it. But Dogecoin, just like real currencies that we use day to day, allow inflation and other things to happen. So every year, 5 billion coins are produced. So in theory, this kind of will decrease the value because there's more than supply. But if there's a high adaptation of Dogecoin as maybe a mainstay currency, if Elon Musk uses it on the moon, or in Starbase for that matter, or even if Amazon adopts it, right, and millions and billions of people across the world are now even that much more wiser to Dogecoin, the fact that it has an unlimited supply makes it even more equipped to be a currency other than Bitcoin, which is a store of value. You know what I'm saying? So that's, in my opinion, that's another thing that makes Dogecoin the best cryptocurrency as a currency. Now, every year, 5 billion, and also the inflation is controlled because we know exactly how many more coins are created every year. So this year we're 5 billion, next year we're 15, and the next year, 5, 10, 15, 25. But even the percentage, that's what I'm trying to get at. The percentage in comparison to the rest of the number of the Dogecoin will always keep on getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So this year it's 50% from 5 to 10. The next year it's 25%, right, from 10 to 15. Or 33%, Then the next year, you know what I'm saying? So that percentage increase keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And that is also another way to control inflation or to control the value. But the more people adopt Dogecoin, the more we're trying to use it as an actual cryptocurrency. We need kind of it to be able to move freely through the markets, through different asset classes, and so through different kinds of markets, and that is another thing that also just happened very recently with Ethereum that I'm trying to get it. But I'm not trying to, I was giving us a timeline of basically the development of Dogecoin, where it comes from, and now I'm trying to get into where it's going. Right. So right now there's a $50 billion market cap. So that's the number of Dogecoin available in the market times its price. We've done definitions before. So the market cap is at $50 billion. That puts it in anywhere between number 5 and number 8 in market value of all cryptocurrencies. So if you take the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world, Dogecoin at 4 South African rands and 30 American cents, has a $50 billion market cap, which puts it anywhere between the 5th most valuable to the 8th most valuable cryptocurrency. So already it has high. Look, a lot of people don't realize how high the adaptation of DogeCoin already is. It's not as popular, as Bitcoin, but it has a really strong early adopter and niche market that already use it. Like Mark Cuban uses it for people to buy merchandise from his basketball team, the Dallas Mavericks. Newegg, another company that allows Dogecoin with its transactions. So GameStop as a company soon might also allow Dogecoin transactions. But also, I just read recently that even Robinhood is going to make it easier, not for Dogecoin only, but for a lot of other cryptocurrencies to be able to move easily between wallets, cold wallets, different kind of wallets, and purchases. So that will allow easier mass adaptation of Dogecoin as a baseline currency that can move freely between markets, because people aren't necessarily trying to sell their Bitcoin. People are holding on to their Bitcoin. People are holding on to the other currencies, and that creates scarcity, and that kind of makes it very difficult for us to use it for our day-to-day functioning. But Dogecoin is kind of right now seems like the easiest, most simplest cryptocurrency to use as a literal currency in that definition. But I also need to say, right, it's still volatile. It's still very volatile. That's what I'm saying. It's anywhere between number 5 and number 8. At any day, the price could range between 3 and 5 rands at any day. Right? That's like a 20 to 50. That's a 30 to 50% like price decrease, depending on obviously going up is like 30%, going down is like 80%, right? But basically, it's very volatile. Day to day. There may be high fluctuations in price. So but for me, I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to take that risk, even though it is 50% of my 15%. I'm willing to take that risk. So I'll just, like I said, I'd suggest, I'd not give advice, I'd not give advice, but I'll suggest that you kind of have a hedge against it, that you kind of diversify if you're gonna want to buy into Dogecoin. But for me personally, I'm going all in. But because it's so volatile, just be wary that you may lose your money. But again, you lose only if you close a trade, right? But if you hold, it'll come back up. So I need to say it's really, really volatile. And like I said earlier, it has no real technological function except to maybe become the baseline cryptocurrency for purchases. Hopefully if Amazon adopts it. So it has no real looks like the lighting's getting weird, but you guys can still see me, right? It has no real that just watch the channel so I can get paid and buy a phone. Subscribe and stuff so I can get this ad revenue, guys. But I'm still new to this. I just kind of enjoy it. But just to keep going, what was I saying? It's still very volatile, but for me, yes, if it gets mass adaptation, right? If it gets mass adaptation, especially on a platform like Amazon, then a lot of people will start using it. And the fact that there's so much of it created every day, like 10,000 coins are created every day, right? The fact that there's so many new coins printed or minted or mined, rather, currencies, right? It means